What I've learned from bringing up 3 kids in this community, home is where you can take a deep breath. You can relax. You can remember that if there's an emergency. I remember my son got locked in his room 15 minutes before he had the concert that night at the elementary school. You pick up the phone, the local police come. Home is a community.
But this is my house, Mommy. The one I asked Mr. Kringle for. It is. I know it is.
Welcome to The Pursuit of Home, coming to you from New York City. This is real people buying real estate and their unique journey to get there. We share the tips, tricks, and frameworks to help you navigate the bumps in the road that you won't see on reality TV or social media, and which no one has talked about until now. These are the emotional, psychological, ethical, and even spiritual challenges you're more than likely to encounter yourself. Learn from experts who've been there and hang out with me, Scott Harris, your host, who's helped thousands of people buy homes in Manhattan over the last 2 decades. Welcome back to The Pursuit of Home, where we explore what it means to find and create a place to call home. Today, we're diving into the strategy behind buying and selling real estate in competitive, high-demand markets, which seem like every market these days. Also, how to guide clients through emotionally complex decisions and how marketing and local insight play a critical role in the process. I'm joined by Lisa Weissman and Bela Sheth, 2 powerhouse real estate professionals from Houlihan Lawrence, both with deep roots in the Scarsdale community, which is a bedroom community of New York City in what's called Westchester, which they'll tell a lot about, I'm sure. Lisa brings decades of experience advising builders and end users on how to unlock a property's full potential. Bela has a dual background in accounting and fashion merchandising, combines analytical expertise with a refined marketing eye, and she's known for her ability to serve both local and international clients, relocating with care and precision. We're going to talk about today what it means to market, what it takes to market a home in today's market, the common mistakes that buyers make, how to read between the lines between pricing and presentation, and what it means to build trust in a process that can be very emotional, as I'm sure you have learned if you've listened to any of our episodes. Process that's emotional and strategic. Lisa, Bela, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Scott. We are so excited to be on your show.
All right. Lisa, I'm going to start with you. Take us back to the beginning. What drew you to real estate? Do you remember the moment when you realized this was the next chapter for you? This was the next part of your career trajectory?
When I was a little girl and I would go on the camp bus to the day camp, and all the kids were eating candy and cracking jokes, I would stare out the window and see all these houses and compare each one over and over, the same ride every day. And I knew I had a love for real estate. As I got older and went to FIT and got into the fashion business, then moved to the suburbs, it was a perfect segue from fashion to real estate. So that's my story.
Bela, you've lived in Scarsdale for years and you've built a strong presence in the community, not just professionally, but personally as well. Can you take us back to what drew you to the town itself and how that connections shaped the way you help others find their homes here?
I was drawn to Scarsdale because when I moved to New York, I was 20 years old. I was going to FIT, but my dad was working with Bank of India, and Bank had a house on 9 Saxon Woods Road. So I used to commute to FIT from Scarsdale. And what touched me about Scarsdale and the community was my brother had Down syndrome, and he was connected with BOCES, and he went to Heathcote Elementary School. And those were the nicest teacher who were so kind to my brother and my mother. And I volunteered there also, some days when I was not in school the whole day. And then I got married and moved to the city in 88. And then when I had 2 kids and we wanted to move to suburbs, that's when I said, okay, we'll move to suburbs. I was working as a buyer at Bergdorf's, but I had quit that fashion job and and my husband is in commercial real estate. So he said to me, you love people, you're working with people, why don't you go into real estate? I went into real estate being very skeptical because I was not sure if I was going to like it, because fashion was my real love. But once I got into real estate 26 years later, I have not looked back.
Well, did you know each other at FIT? I just want to make that connection.
No.
And so for those people out there who don't know FIT, that's the Fashion Institute of Technology. One of the things that when I think of fashion people is that fashion people have vision, they have taste, and maybe they don't mind telling people what to do.
Oh, for sure. We were taught that.
And right, you have to have a clear idea in mind. And being a visionary in real estate is so critical because very few people can see it in their mind's eye. They need to see it in real life. So your job is to sort of paint the picture. And if you have a clear sense of what your clients are looking for before they do, they're going to love you. So it's fashion and real estate, I think, work really well together. Now, on our podcast, we're looking through the lens of the buyer, even when, you're representing a seller. But even when we're representing sellers, we're always thinking about the buyer first. And when you're preparing a property for market, either one of you can answer this, especially one that needs work or has untapped potential. What are the most important marketing decisions that influence buyer perception and maybe even drive value?
I think that you have to paint a canvas where that's pretty vanilla. We call it vanilla because the buyer should be able to visualize their furnishings, their lifestyle, their children, just to declutter as much as possible and make it warm, inviting enough, and appetizing. The clutter is a killer. It fogs the brain. So that's my main advice to sellers. Get rid of stuff. You're going to have to clean it out anyway. You might as well do it before you move.
Got it. And so if you're walking through a house with a buyer where it's cluttered, do you often go in advance of when the buyer's going to come through and you can say, look, you're going to walk into this room, it's cluttered. So I want you to imagine what it looks like, do you try to get ahead of these things when a house is cluttered?
Yeah, or if it does a nasty odor. Usually our marketplace is pretty upscale and we have very, it's probably 85% of the 15% do most of the deals. And the listing agents are very smart and we've learned how to market it, how to present it properly. The yard should be free of things, everything, landscaping. We have a very long checklist.
But that doesn't always work out, Scott. So yes, there are places where you go in and you say, and if we have seen the house before, I'm very sensitive to smell. So I know, and I will pre-warn my buyers that, look, this is not in our control how people live. And you have to look beyond that. And, when you clean it up and when we sage the house, it's all going to be okay.
I love this. I think I forgot somehow, and I just wrote this book about smell, how important smell is. Both it can help, we talk about brokers baking cookies and all of that, but do you sometimes tell your buyers, hey, this apartment or this house has a weird smell and I want, wear a mask if you're really sensitive because you're going to get a great deal on this house if you can get past the smell. The smell will be gone soon enough. Do you tell people hey, this is to your advantage when something looks bad?
I do have an air freshener in my pocket at all times. And I will once in a while spray it because smell is really because it turns you off. And I have a very sensitive nose. So
I was just talking to a guy today who works in he trades, he's a commodities trader. And we were talking about paper plants and this and that. And I was telling him that I have some family who live near a paper mill. and the smell of the whole town is this kind of like, it smells kind of really noticeably bad.
And that's why I will never go to Florida, because it has a smell. Florida has a canal smell all over.
Okay. These are psychological moments. These are things that people go through. Buying a home, just the buying of it can bring up a lot of emotions, uncertainty, pressure. You maybe even have some grief over the one that got away. How do you help buyers navigate those less talked about psychological moments and stay grounded in the process?
We are untrained psychotherapists. So sometimes you have to walk on eggshells and you have to kind of tread thinly and just make sure that buyers stay focused. And I always tell them, don't get emotionally attached to anything. Think with your brain. Buying a house is emotional and connected. Like, you have to think with your brain and think with your heart. But at this, till you sign on a dotted line or till you get to the closing table, Lisa and I will never congratulate our buyers till they really finish closing, because Lisa feels very strongly about that. And we agree on that. And I tell them, don't get excited, because we've had a story where buyers came from London. They moved here with their 2 girls. And a week before the closing, the broker started acting weird and not giving me time of closing or whatever. So I sensed that there was something not right. And the seller changed their mind 48 hours before the closing. And I wanted to sue them, and their lawyer decided that he's not going to do that. And they'd taken their girls out of private school in London. They were here. The girls were going to Fox Meadow School. But then the school called me to say that there's 2 kids that are going from this house, and there are 2 more kids enrolled. It cannot be. It was really upsetting, but my buyers were really nice, never blamed either Lisa or me. And we found them a 6-month rental, and then finally found them another house.
Well, I want to dig in a tiny, tiny bit into this, think with your head, think with your heart piece. First question, which of you thinks more with her head and which one thinks more with her heart? And the second piece is, you can't just, if you focus only on the business side and it's like I want to try to phrase it in a different way and see if you agree. Is it that you have to compartmentalize the emotion a little bit?
Yes.
Sure.
100%. Lisa thinks with her head sometimes. There are times that I think with my head. And we always say Lisa and I are a perfect human being in a perfect world, because we are a yin and a yang. Because there are times where I think with the heart and she says, you need to stop being emotional, and I have to, sometimes the role is reversed. So we really finish each other's sentences. We've done this for over 20 years. So
if you're listening out there, I want to point this out, because I spend a lot of time, I highlight amazing agents out there in the country, because I think it's important for you to hear when agents know what their strengths are and what they aren't. And what I think is remarkable and interesting here, remarkable meaning something worth talking about, is that that you're better together as agents. And not
100%.
every agent has to be the superstar. You guys work really well together. Having that partnership adds so much value to the clients that you represent. Anyway, so thank you for sharing that.
Two for the price of one, Scott, is what we say.
Okay, I love it. Now you have your market is Scarsdale, where competition is really high, and inventory in the suburbs there and in a lot of places is very, very limited. What are some of the smartest moves that you've seen buyers make, or that you've advised your buyers to make? And on the other side, what are some of the common mistakes that you really try to help them avoid?
I'd say about 90% of the good houses that are priced fairly with value are going to highest and best within the first few days of listing. That has been this spring market. And what we advise our buyers is to think with their heads, not with their hearts, because so many times the highest bid will overbid and wake up with what we call buyer's remorse the next day. we don't want to be representing that buyer. We just came today from an appraisal at a deal that we got. We were number 3 or number 2.
Number 3.
Meaning
Number
like
3.
2 people
in
fell
the-
out and you became the
in
buyer?
bids. Pardon?
Meaning 2 deals fell out and you became the
No,
buyer?
one, but we were next, or there were 2 very close deals.
Meaning,
and we got
meaning
it
bid
because
it.
we had
We called.
Right.
We were on top of it and we called. And the listing agent said, oh my God, this just fell through. I got off the plane and you called. How did you know? And we said, well, we like to keep tabs on, what's happening. So.
And you know what? The Zillow review, Scott,
Yes.
can blow you away. I mean,
Meaning you're the people that, right.
yes, they wrote us a beautiful review. Mm-hmm.
How great is it to be able to tell your clients, hey, don't bid that number. You're going to regret it tomorrow. I mean, I know you're not saying that, but you're actually saying, look, where's a number that you're going to wake up tomorrow and be okay with? And I guess the question, what percentage of the time do deals fall apart? Because there is buyer's remorse when they overpay. Is it a quarter of the time?
No, in 22 years that we've been together and 26 years I've been in real estate, maybe 3 times.
Oh, I don't mean you. I mean, how many times have you are you seeing deals fall apart in your market?
It happens, about
quarter.
20% of.
Okay.
So quarter. Yeah, that happens.
Crazy. I mean, we right now have about one house, let's put it this way, had 40 offers. And it went into contract for about $1 million more than the ask. Just last week, we are with inventory and everything is going way over.
So I think that's an important thing for people to hear. So I just want to call it out again, that you often hear people say, oh, I lost this many bidding wars before I found my house. Maybe you got lucky that you didn't end up overbidding for something and then regretting it later. So something to think about. To shift gears a little bit, and back to Scarsdale, I guess. You're known for your deep community ties and maybe an intuitive sense of what makes this home valuable in your market, not just in paper, but maybe in somebody's life. What are the questions you ask buyers to clarify what home really means to them so that you can generate this intuition?
Well, they kind of tell us we like to listen more than talk in the initial conversation with them. And this community is known for its close proximity to Manhattan, its excellent schools, and its sense of community. And pretty much those are the reasons people want to live here. Are you referring to anything deeper than that? Well,
So all I'm hearing you say is that it's pretty self-selecting. So by the time they come to you, they're not like, oh, maybe this will be good. It's actually people hear about it, or maybe they come to you and say, I'm thinking about these 2 or 3. And you're like, this is the right town for you. This is the right town for you. It's not called steering. It's called, I'm going to tell you why I think this town might be better for you. And it has all to do with who you are at a soul deep level that you can sense.
So I have once in a while said it, where I've said, okay, I need to take out my broker hat. And before we sign any paperwork or anything, I will tell you pros and cons. And I would always say it will come from your gut. So I take them to different communities. Once in a while, they want to look at Larchmont, Ardsley, Edgemont, Rye. So we would drive them by and say, okay, write down pros and cons of each community. And this is what do you want? So first we listen and then we tell them that you would be better suited for that. But it is their decision.
Of course. All right. Somebody ends up with a house that's so different from what they originally either thought they wanted or told you they wanted. I'm sure you have a buyer like that who was surprised about the home that they chose.
It always.
What changed in their thinking? Do you have a story that you want to share?
Well, yeah, they have in their heart of hearts they want to buy a gorgeous storybook Tudor. And then after touring and not seeing that house meets their particular needs, they wind up with this white colonial with larger rooms and maybe more sunny, more natural light. So it happens all the time. People have fixed in the mind what they want, but in actuality, it's not practical. Look, if you look at a mid-split level, sometimes people think, oh, it's not architecturally important. But meanwhile, it's the easiest house to live in for modern living. So people don't really know what they need and what they really want.
No, maybe, you know what you want to say about when you had a buyer who didn't want a particular location, but then they bought that,
So this was probably, we were a separate, Bella and I, for about a year or so. I had a referral from a friend whose husband was a partner in a very big law firm in the city, very fancy law firm. And he referred me as partner. And I showed them everything on the market at the time, except for one house that backed up to the Bronx River Parkway and the Metro North. And they got home that day and they said to me,
The Metro North is the train.
Is the train, right? And they got home that night and they said, oh, on the websites, we see this one house. Why didn't you show it to us? And I said, quite honestly, because I didn't think you want to face the noise. And they said, oh, well, we'll come next week. We'll look at it. This was a different market. This was about 20 years ago. And they came and they fell in love and they bought it. And I felt stupid. I learned a very hard lesson. Never prejudge the house before you show it. Show everything available in the price range for the client. To make it even more interesting, they have 4 children. One of them has autism. And part of what autistic kids like is they like to count things. So the son counted the train cars as they passed. They're the happiest people in that house. So that was my story about not to prejudge. And it had a very happy ending.
That's beautiful, Lisa. Thank you for sharing that. After working in the industry for so many years, seems like your success is really rooted in trust building. What do you think it takes, in your opinion, to build real trust with buyers in a world where so much of the process can feel rushed or transactional?
So the way we go about it is when there's so much paperwork, and with all these new laws and all these changes, buyers are scared. So when it's a referral, it becomes a little bit easy, but you still have to explain to them. They've never met you. They don't know you. So, just last week, I met this young couple who kind of, after I spent 2 hours and talking, found out that she was a year younger to my daughter. She knew my daughter. They had classes together. But before even we came to that connection, she said to me, Bela, we think alike. I'm so glad and I'm so relieved that you told me, because we came out of one house and I said, Lauren, you have 1.5 years old and this is not for you. Yes, it has 1.5 acres, but this is not for you. It's too much work for the price. And she appreciated that I said that. And we talked, we went to the second house and that had something completely different to offer. But by the time we reached third house, she trusted me completely. And then we found out that she knew my daughter. It was really nice.
I love that. Yeah, it's really important. And I'm sure you have buyers that have had bad experiences with other agents and then come to you. I mean, has that happened to you? I'm sure.
Yes, that has happened. That has definitely happened to me. And there was this friend of mine who was looking with another broker. And one rule of thumb Lisa and I have is, just because we know people we know a lot of people and we live in the community. So we'll have friends who are looking with other brokers. I would never steer them. I would never step on anybody's toes. And so this buyer came to us and said, our broker fired us because they said,
the broker fired them.
yes, broker fired them. And they came to us and she said, the broker is saying that we are taking too long. We can't find anything. And it was really done in a bad way. And but fortunate for us, they worked with us 2 weeks and we found them something. And they bought this house and this broker was furious. And she had the email that she had sent me. So this broker calls me and says, you took my client away and you owe me something. And on principle, I was not going to give her something, but Lisa and I are very nice people. So when we listed this buyer's house, we gave that broker 10% as a referral fee. And she was not happy, but she took the referral fee, but we didn't give her anything from the sale because it was not, I'm sorry. When you fire somebody, I'm very nice, but I'm tough at the same time.
Understood. All right. I have 2 more questions. That's a great story. And I think if people out there are listening, and your agent, you're just not connecting with the agent, don't wait for the agent to fire you. It's okay to move on. Wait, find an agent who understands you. Then, maybe you're going to find a house in 2 weeks. Right after that, I think it's the connection, where somebody can speak your language is really, really important. All right. Lisa and Bela, after everything you've experienced personally, professionally, what does home mean to you now?
What I've learned from bringing up 3 kids in this community, home is where you can take a deep breath. You can relax. You can remember that if there's an emergency. I remember my son got locked in his room 15 minutes before he had the concert that night at the elementary school. You pick up the phone, the local police come. Home is a community. You meet friends, you're doing carpools. In this community, many people have more than 1 child. Some have 1, some have 2, some have 3, some have 4. And we help each other. We help with the carpooling. Hey, come for dinner, have lunch. We just help each other. And the schools are so fantastic. And they know how to combine the teaching with having fun. So it's a comfort level. That's what home is to me and at least to my family.
So home is a safe place. There is no judgment. Home is where there is screaming, there is laughter, there is yelling, there is, all sorts of things. And home is where it's full of people. I love to have all my kids. I have 4 kids. And all the kids' friends, they love to come to me. Even after they go to college, they have to come and hug me. So that is what home is. Where people can come, they know my front door is always open. No matter what time of the night, they can call me, my kids and my kids' friends. And, we've really developed strong ties in the community. And we are very happy here.
And another thing, Bela, I'll add to that, I don't mean to interrupt, is that with both Bela and myself, we get so many referrals from people who are happy with us. So we really know that we do the right thing for our clients. We'll steer them away from a house that continues to be flooded. We'll talk you out of a bad house. So it feels good to do this job. We work with a lot of integrity. Not that we're here to sell ourselves, Scott, but this is why we do what we do.
Yeah. No, I think it's really important for people to hear what good agents sound like. And that's what you guys are.
Thank you.
If there's one piece of advice that you would give a home buyer as they continue their own pursuit of home, what would it be?
Follow your gut. Your gut never fails you. If that house is meant for you, I always say to my clients, if it's meant for you, it's going to come to you. Don't rush into something that you might have regret. Don't do something because you are pushed, somebody's holding a gun to your head. Relax. If it's meant to be, it'll come to you.
And go with your gut, like what you said, gut instincts with the positives. Go with the gut instincts with the negative. if the street bothers you or something is nagging at you, don't go for that house. There'll be others.
Well, on that note, I think, I trusted my gut. I interviewed you, Lisa, for my book, The Pursuit of Home. You had a wonderful story, which you shared a little bit here. Bela, Lisa, thank you so much for being here. You guys are excellent agents. We'll make sure that all your contact info is in the show notes, but I hope you guys listening learned a lot. I want to have two agents, like who are better together than apart and working for me sometime.
Oh, I love how you put that, Scott. Thank you for having us. And anytime, we would love to speak to you again anytime. Thank you.
Exactly. And by the way, good luck with your new company. It sounds so exciting.
Thanks very much. That's it for this episode of The Pursuit of Home. I hope today's conversation gave you insight, clarity, and maybe even a new way to think about your own home search. If you enjoyed the episode, please take a moment to follow, rate, and review the show. It really helps us reach more people on their own journey to home ownership. The Pursuit of Home is proudly produced by Fame, the B2B podcast production agency. Find The Pursuit of Home on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere else you listen to podcasts. And if you want to connect, you can find me anytime on social media or at Magnetic. Until next time, happy home hunting.